Hey everyone, Dr. Riley here, and today we're going to dive into something that I see consistently in my practice, and that's the hidden connection between your hormonal health and your relationships and patterns of self-abandonment, actually, that might be keeping you stuck in cycles of exhaustion and disconnection. So if you've been feeling depleted, no matter how much sleep you get, if your relationships seem to drain rather than energize you, been there, or if you've been wondering why your body isn't responding to all the right things that you're doing, this conversation is especially for you. I didn't come into this profession by accident by any stretch. My journey actually began with my own need for healing. When my mother's own anxiety manifested as terminal cancer, I witnessed firsthand how our bodies keep the score of our emotional lives. Her journey taught me that thyroid health, hormonal balance, and anxiety aren't separate issues. They're intimate partners in your body's own complex communication system. And after losing her, I recognized how intergenerational patterns of stress and trauma affect our bodies, our relationships, and our life choices. And I saw how chronic stress can materialize in unexpected ways when we don't address it properly. My own dark night of the soul followed years of workaholic tendencies, relationship patterns recreated in childhood dynamics, and a profound disconnection from my authentic self. I kept thinking that success and achievement would fill that void, but the reality is they only widened it. Like many of you, I was pushing through exhaustion, treating my body's signals as inconveniences, right? Rather than important messages. The burning in my solar plexus, that 3 p.m. crash, brain fog that didn't lift with another cup of coffee, yet another cup of coffee. I dismissed these as normal parts of a busy life. But the turning point came when I realized that repeating cycles of self-abandonment is what I was doing. And my body was sending signals through anxiety, burnout, relationship challenges, but I just wasn't listening. When I finally began addressing both the physical and the emotional roots of my struggles, the reality is everything changed. And today I help people transform their relationship with themselves by addressing the connection between physical and mental health. Because I've learned that to have better relationships with others, we must first focus on the most important relationship. And that's the one we have with ourselves. So let's start with something that many of you are experiencing but might not fully understand, and that is that intimate connection between your thyroid function and your anxiety levels. Your thyroid isn't just another gland, it lives right here. It's your body's energy regulator, affecting everything from your metabolism to your mood. And when chronic anxiety keeps stress hormones elevated, it directly impacts how your thyroid functions. The physical symptoms you're experiencing aren't just in your head, right? These real psychological changes keep happening because your body is keeping the score of your emotional life. Signs your thyroid might be speaking to you could include unexplained fatigue with adequate sleep, mental fog and difficulty concentrating, sensitivity to cold that others just don't feel, weight changes resistant to diet and exercise, hair loss or changes in texture like dry brittle hair. And the spring is actually a crucial time for thyroid healing because of how our bodies naturally tune to hormonal and seasonal shifts. The longer daylight hours help reset hormonal rhythms, keeping spring foods provide for essential nutrients, and the natural energy within spring provides that for that thyroid function. But here's what's really rarely discussed. The issues of self-abandonment might look like managing others' emotions while ignoring your own, pushing through exhaustion as a badge of honor, treating physical symptoms as inconveniences, disconnecting from body signals that need attention, prioritizing everyone else's needs except for your own. Does any of that sound familiar? Here's the thing, breaking this cycle requires more than supplements or diet changes. It starts with recognizing these patterns and beginning to honor your body's own wisdom. So giving yourself permission to spend 10 minutes in morning sunlight, tracking your energy fluctuations in a body awareness journal, replacing push-through moments with intentional rest, and asking yourself, what is my exhaustion trying to tell me? There's a message there. Remember, your body signals are not weaknesses, they are wisdom trying to guide you toward balance. So let's talk about something now that's draining your energy in ways you might not even recognize, and that is digital hypervigilance. I discovered this pattern in myself first. My own hypervigilance wasn't just a personality trait, it was a survival strategy rooted deep in childhood patterns of managing everyone else's emotions. This strategy followed me into adulthood, showing up as my addiction to devices that I called being responsive. Digital hypervigilance can look like constantly checking emails and texts and notifications, feeling anxious when separated from your phone, sleep disrupted by nearby devices, scrolling as your primary stress response, numbing out, using other social media as emotional regulation. What I didn't realize, and what many of you might not recognize, is how this constant digital vigilance depletes your thyroid function and energy reserves. Every notification triggers a micro stress response. Every late night email check disrupts your sleep. Every social scroll through social media keeps your nervous system on high alert. This happens because of the deeper pattern at play. Digital connection substitutes for authentic connection. Hypervigilance stems from childhood safety strategies, and many of us manage others' emotions through constant availability. I've been there. Our self-worth becomes tied to response times and reactions, and we use external validation to regulate our internal state. And when we grew up learning that our safety depended upon monitoring others' emotional states, we become adults who can't put our phones down. We are unconsciously recreating these childhood dynamics through our screens, staying hyper-aware, constantly available, managing responses and managing our own needs in the process. Creating digital boundaries is not about productivity hacks, it's about energy reclamation. Set tech-free zones in your home, especially your bedroom. Create morning and evening phone-free rituals. Use Do Not Disturb as a regular practice, but not just for emergencies. Batch communications instead of being constantly responsive. Give your permission to be unreachable. Give yourself that permission. This transition won't feel comfortable at first, I promise, but because you're breaking a survival pattern. It goes deep. Expect withdrawal symptoms. They're real and temporary. Replace screen time with nature exposure. Use breath practices if you feel when you urge to reach for your phone. These patterns I recognize in myself, the people-pleasing, the achievement addiction, the disconnection from my body's wisdom, these weren't random personality traits. They were survival strategies passed down through generations, adaptations to my conditions that ancestors faced that no longer serve in today's world. We all have it. And in choosing a different way of relating to myself, I'm not just addressing my individual health. I am participating in a healing lineage that extends backwards to honor the struggles of everyone else who came before me and forward to create new possibilities for those who will come after, even just the ripple effect out into the world. This intergenerational perspective gives deeper meaning to the daily practices of self-connection. Each time you choose to listen to your body instead of overriding it, you're not just changing your hormonal patterns. You're helping to rewrite a family story of self-relationship that can transform the health and well-being of an entire lineage. You are that powerful. So now let's explore something profound and how caretaking patterns affect your physical energy. See, I spent years managing everyone else's emotions while depleting my own life force. And like many who grew up as emotional caretakers, I developed a nervous system wired for hypervigilance and people-pleasing. Always scanning, always adjusting, always abandoning myself to tend to others. This showed up as unexplained fatigue that did not resolve, resentment alongside inability to set boundaries, guilt when prioritizing my own needs, overgiving followed by energy crashes, feeling responsible for others' emotional states. What I did not realize was how directly this pattern was affecting my physical health, and particularly, again, my thyroid function. Every time I said yes when my body was screaming no, I was sending signals to my endocrine system that my needs didn't matter. Every time I absorbed others' emotions as my responsibility, my stress hormones would spike, directly suppressing my thyroid function. This isn't just psychological, folks. It's biochemical. Your thyroid doesn't care about your good intentions or your desire to help others. It only knows when your body is chronically stressed and your boundaries are non-existent. These patterns often develop from a few things: childhood roles as emotional regulators for others, learning that safety came through tending to others' emotions, a nervous system trained to prioritize others' needs, self-worth connected to usefulness and helpfulness, hypervigilance to others' moods and reactions. Psychological impact is real. Chronic cortisol elevation suppresses that thyroid function. Your nervous system will get stuck in sympathetic on mode, always in fight or flight. Digestive function becomes compromised. Sleep quality is reduced by boundary violations. And then nutrient absorption becomes affected by chronic stress, leading to a whole other cascade of issues. The turning point in my own health came when I realized that energy was not infinite and my worth wasn't tied to me being useful. Learning to set boundaries wasn't selfish, it was necessary for my physical healing. If you're exhausted despite doing all the right things, consider that your thyroid might be speaking to you about your relationship patterns. The people-pleasing that feels like love might actually be self-abandonment that's keeping you sick. Reclaiming your energy starts with beginning with small, sympathetic, and specific boundaries, practicing tolerating others' disappointment, developing soothing for the discomfort of boundary setting, recognizing the difference between helping and caretaking, remembering that energy boundaries are health necessities, not luxuries. And I want you to know you are allowed to preserve your energy. Others' emotions are information, not assignments. Your worth is not measured by your usefulness. And let's talk about how nervous system states directly affect your hormonal balance, particularly progesterone, the body's natural calming agent. When I realized my anxiety and my hormones were speaking the same language, everything shifted. After witnessing my mother's health struggles, I discovered firsthand how our nervous system states directly impact our hormonal balance. Progesterone, for example, is far more than a reproductive hormone. It's a major calming neurotransmitter and hormone. It affects all genders' nervous system regulation. It acts on GABA receptors, similar to anti-anxiety medications. It creates a sense of safety and presence in the body. It directly counteracts the effects of stress hormones. And springtime brings a natural surge of energy as these days lengthen and energy bursts forth. Without balanced progesterone, the seasonal shift can leave you feeling wired, overwhelmed, and unable to truly rest despite exhaustion. Signs your nervous system might need support include difficulty falling or staying asleep, feeling wired and tired, unable to truly relax, irritability or heightened emotional reactivity, racing thoughts, especially at night, physical tension that doesn't release with stretching. The deeper patterns at play often involve self-abandonment, pushing through stress signals that teaches your body that it's unsafe. Ignoring rest depletes progesterone production. Using achievement to regulate emotions disrupts hormones. Perfectionism keeps your nervous system in constant reactivity. What I've learned working with thousands of clients at this point in my career is that progesterone balance isn't just about reproductive health. It's essential for everyone's nervous system regulation, emotional resilience, and ability to find calm within chaos. And creating conditions for balance might mean that you're honoring your body's needs for true rest, not just sleep, but real rest. Creating psychological safety through boundary setting. Supporting natural rhythms instead of fighting them. Allowing completion cycles, rather than constant productivity. Practicing being rather than constant doing. My own healing journey taught me that true hormonal balance begins with nervous system regulation, which requires creating conditions of your safety in your body. And this means boundaries, means rest cycles, permission to complete tasks instead of constant activity. Remember, my worth isn't measured by my productivity. Rest is a biological necessity, not a reward. And I can honor spring's energy without depleting myself, and so can you. So as we wrap up, I want to reflect on what we've explored together. We talked about a lot. We've seen how thyroid health connects directly to anxiety levels and self-abandonment patterns. We've uncovered how digital hypervigilance depletes your energy by keeping your nervous system in constant alert. We've recognized how codependent caretaking creates real psychological costs that affect your thyroid function. And we've discovered how progesterone balance requires nervous system regulation through creating conditions of safety. The thread running through all of these is the relationship you have with yourself. And when you abandon yourself, ignoring your body's signals, pushing through exhaustion, prioritizing others' needs before your own, you're not just making an emotional choice. You're triggering physiological changes that affect your hormones and your energy and ultimately your capacity for authentic connection. That's my wish for you. I want to leave you with this. Your healing journey begins with being seen, heard, and understood, starting with how you see, hear, and understand yourself. The first step isn't another supplement or diet. It's reconnecting with your body's signals that you've been trained to ignore. Connection truly is medicine, and it begins with how we connect with ourselves. And if this resonated with you, I invite you to click follow, join me, share this. It's my gift to you. It's my gift to share this information and inform you, and I hope it resonates. If it does, let me know. I'd love to hear from you.